This is this is a video I wasn't expecting I was going to make, but the time has finally come. Um, Over the past few months, I've slowly lost interest, not just with the Media Wrestling Association, but with all of KAW in general. I became a lot less active in the Premier Discord. I stopped caring about recording matches or editing or doing commentary or just really any of that. And I've been more actively pursuing um, Twitch and my main YouTube channel and stuff like that. And basically, I already lost this motivation, but it didn't really help that my Elgato HD60S, which I just got, stopped working after probably not even a month. I recorded one match with it, and then I tried to record again, like, okay, here we go, we're going to finish episode 16, we're going to get this out, it's going to be great. And then it just said it didn't recognize the capture device, it couldn't find anything. I tried switching cables all the way around, I tried uninstalling, reinstalling, I tried all the workarounds I found on YouTube, but literally nothing worked. So this didn't really help with my demotivation, and basically it just brought me further down in the case of just not want to continue this any further. Um, I want to apologize to all of my roster members, who I promised big things for, and even the people I signed who hadn't even debuted yet, as well as Fen and Yin and Dawson, and just all of them as well for letting them down. So this video is going to center around the rest of what I had planned for MWA, and also just like kind of a farewell to KAW in general, because I've moved on basically, and I wasn't expecting this to happen, but sometimes we just move on and grow on to do other things, and right now I really want to pursue Twitch, so that's just kind of where my head's at. So starting off with episode 16 of Ignition, which was going to be the next episode, the comeback from after Battle Cry. We start this episode off by, of course, building up the next feuds, heading into our final pay-per-view of Season 1, the big pay-per-view, the WrestleMania of MWA, Ultimatum. So on episode 16, it kicks off with Teddy Lance cutting a promo. He basically is like he's going to defeat Isaac Lockley Ultimatum and end the tirade that Isaac Lockley's had as TV champion. Then the general manager Jack Bates comes out and is like, well, Teddy, the corporation kind of helped you win. And he offers Teddy a spot in the corporation, and Teddy says he already has all the help he needs with petrol, and he declines his spot in the corporation. So then Dean Ronan comes out and calls Bates a coward, and then says he's gathered a group of fellow wrestlers sick and tired of Jack Bates's and the corporation's BS, basically. And that's when the lights cut out and they come back on, and Leif Meyer and Blake Wolf are on the stage. Of course, these two got screwed at Battle Cry by the corporation, because Leif Meyer got distracted by Cody Harlow, and then Blake Wolf got screwed by Marcus Casanova. And that resulted in both those guys losing. So then Ronan went behind the scenes backstage and recruited both of them to join together in a faction to end the corporation, known as Vigilante. So that's the start of the corporation and Vigilante feud. And then the first match of the evening is Quinn Diamond, who defeats Crystal Brooks via roll-up to build up their kind of mini feud. And then the second match is Perfect Pete Price versus Ryan Cage. And basically Pete gets a bit too ahead of himself. He knocks down the referee, grabs a chair, and then the referee's about to get up, and Pete discards the chair because he doesn't want to get disqualified, so he doesn't even hit Cage with the chair. He gets back in the ring, Cage hits a cage cutter, and Ryan Cage defeats him clean. This starts their feud, where Ryan Cage starts to challenge Pete for the title because he beat the champion. After this, we have a promo from D.H. Young to just basically continue his feud with Drake King. That's pretty much all that. We have a pretty much nothing match between Aleister Cross and Isaac Lockley. Isaac wins convincingly because Aleister Cross is kind of enhancement talent. It doesn't really matter. And then Teddy and Petrol attack Isaac after the match. Our next feud here, we got Harpo and Chris Phoenix. They have their match. Harpo wins and then attacks and spits on Chris Phoenix after the match. This match was kind of hard to move on from because it was a lot of highlight reel, a lot of editing, a lot of time spent, and now that's just all gone down the drain. So RIP to that. After that, we have Brandon Alexander's promo where he announces what he'll be doing with his Rising Star victory, who will be challenging for, and when he'll be using that. He announces he'll be fighting Jin Yuri for the Intergalactic Championship at Ultimatum. Next up, we got Ruby Skylar versus the debuting Maria Moldovo. Ruby wins, and then Celeste Callahan plays a creepy message on the Titantron, warning Ruby of her eventual demise come Ultimatum. Order defeats the Morse Brothers. Austin Raiden versus David Styles. David Styles wins, and then Vignette comes on the Tron and tells David to kind of watch out, come back to the ring. And Jack Webb returns. He's standing behind David, hits the finale kick, and wins the Killshot title off of David Styles. Then the main event, we have James Omega versus Drake King, and James Omega wins that, and we end the show with a face-off between Omega and Silver, and it's just a face-off, basically, between these two faces, these two fan favorites. The next episode, episode 17, we start off with basically a bunch of camera cuts backstage. This is before the pyro, before the intro, before anything. It just starts off the episode. Marcus Casanova, Trevor Boston, and The Peak are all laid out. Cut to the GM office, and someone walks into the office and superkicks Jack Bates. So basically, this is hinting that Vigilante is destroying the corporation and will stop at nothing to, get rid of them. Our opener of the evening is Ace Reeves versus Teddy Lance. Ace Reeves wins this via a Isaac Lockley distraction. Then we cut backstage to Ashley Rain, who is standing outside Jack Bates' office. And she's like, oh, you want to see me? Because, behind the scenes, we had Jack Bates be like, oh, I'm going to have Ashley Rain come to my office because I have something important to tell her or whatever. And he's like, you're going to be in a tag team match. I'll let you pick your partner. And then Dawn Wolf is standing outside the office like, oh, hey, I'll be your partner. And she's acting like suspiciously cheery. And Ashley kind of sees through it, and she declines and says she has someone else in mind. And this is when we have the surprise debut of Valkyrie, someone who I didn't even announce signed because I wanted it to be a big deal when she debuted, but that won't be happening, so I apologize. And Dawn Wolf actually spoils the debut of Valkyrie because she costs Rain and Valkyrie the match, and Quinn Diamond and Crystal Brooks end up winning that. They have a Pete Price promo who claims his loss to Ryan Cage was a fluke. Cage comes out and he says he wants a title shot. Pete refuses it, and then he has a squash match with Curtis Cockenballs, the All-American athlete. And after Pete wins, Cage hits the cage cutter out of nowhere after the match. Then we have Vigilante versus the Corporation. It's a no contest, but Vigilante gets the better of the exchange. Then we have the debuting Angel Alvarado defeating D.H. Young via a Drake King distraction. And then we have Celeste Callahan defeating the debuting Alex Knight. And Celeste beats down Alex after the match, and Ruby comes in for the save. California Love cuts a promo. Order comes out, and basically California Love's laid out on the mat with the Order symbol branded on the forehead, and they're lying at a pool of their own blood. Then we got Lobo Mysterioso versus Jin Yuri. Jin wins, and then Brandon comes down to the ring to stare him down. No cheap shots, nothing, two fan favorites. Then the main event, we got Ryan Silver and Chris Phoenix, and this is kind of the build to the intertwining feud. So we got Omega and Silver, and then Harpo and Phoenix, and then those two feuds kind of intertwined because Omega and Harpo still have their whole beef and whatnot. So with this match, Harpo comes out to try and distract Phoenix, but Omega comes out and beats the fuck out of Harpo. He stares down in a dagger to the ring at Silver as he nails Chris with the atomic kick for the win. Then Omega comes into the ring and has a long stare down, then super kicks the taste out of Silver's mouth before earning the phrase, "That's payback, bitch." A callback to Battle Cry when Silver atomic kicked Omega after the match at Battlecry. Then episode 18 kicks off, Isaac Lockley versus Ace Reeves. This is kind of like trading off because Reeves beat Teddy, so now Lockley's going against Ace. Lockley beats Ace and then cuts a promo saying he made an example of Ace Reeves, and that's exactly what he's going to do to Teddy Lance. Dawn Wolf defeats Crystal Brooks. Trevor Boston defeats Blake Wolf. And this is when Bates demands a microphone, says Gene Ronan has been the most annoying, useless pile of trash he's ever had to deal with. Leif Meyer and Black Wolf will regret ever joining forces with him. While Vigilante's down, Bates officially declares that ultimatum there will be a 4-on-4 tag team match between Vigilante and the Corporation. Then we got Jay Mama versus Perfect Pete Price. And Pete wins via disqualification because Cage attacks Pete mid-match and forces the match to end. He grabs a mic and says he won't stop until Pete gives him a title shot. Pete kind of tells him to like go fuck himself, and then Cage picks him back up, nailing the cage cutter, stare down with Jay Mama before fading to black. Then we got Ruby Skylar versus Alex Knight. Ruby wins that. Mason Gates versus Brandon Alexander. Brandon wins that. California Love versus the debuting lads from Sextown. California Love wins that. Then we got Harpo versus Ryan Silver. Silver wins, demands a mic, and he cuts a shoot promo. Harpo shuts him up with a Harp KO. Phoenix comes out and hits his finisher. Then Omega comes out of nowhere and hits the Project Omega on Chris Phoenix. And the final shot is Omega standing tall. Our final episode before Ultimatum here. We got Ryan Cage kicking off with a promo. And then finally, Pete accepts the challenge. We got a triple threat match between Isaac Lockley, Ace Reeves, and Teddy Lance. Teddy Lance wins, pinning Ace. So, Ace is kind of thrown in there to eat the pin, which, I mean, it's not really meant to put down Ace because, obviously, I wanted to have big plans for him, but, it is what it is. Quinn Diamond versus Crystal Brooks. Quinn wins again, just like they did, just like she did in their first match. Drake King versus Austin Raiden. Drake wins that, and he grabs some mic after the match, and he'll prove once again he's not only better than DH Young, but the best in the world, as he will defeat DH on pay-per-view once again. And then DH shows up on the ramp saying, basically, that he'll prove to the world the one thing he set out to do when he came to MWA, that Drake King is a disease. Drake already showed his cowardice at Battle Cry, and DH issues a challenge to make Drake back up his words. The Pete cannot be present at ringside during their match at Ultimatum, and if they show up, it's an automatic win for DH. Drake accepts, letting his ego get in the way of what may have been otherwise the wise decision. Jay Mama versus Jack Webb. Webb wins. However, after the match, he lies down and drags Mama's arm over him, and the referee counts to 3, and Webb immediately gets up and grabs a mic. Says the Killshot title doesn't mean anything to him, and the reason he captured it was to get closer to David Styles. The issue has already been set between the two, but Webb wants more. He wants a hardcore match with Styles, and Styles accepts by appearing out of nowhere and stunning Webb before picking up the mic, saying, "I accept." We have the debuting Okita Tereshi versus Ashley Rain. Then we got a Dean Ronan segment where he comes down to the ring with his buddies by his side, all wearing their merchandise, the Vigilante shirts or whatever. Ronan says he went from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the barrel real quick, basically just talking about his entire career in MWA. And Ronan says he wants the match to mean something more than just "I beat you, I'm better." He wants Bates to step down as GM if the corporation loses, a fate he deserves with all his corruption. Bates laughs hysterically and says a firm no. Ronan calls out Bates' manhood, says a real man like Bates wouldn't back down from a challenge like that, especially with a 4-3 edge. Bates stops and thinks for a moment, asks what's in it for him. If he would accept the challenge, there would have to be some, fair counter-punishment. And Bates says he'll accept the stipulation as long as if Ronan accepts, if Vigilante loses, all 3 of them are fired. Ronan doesn't hesitate and instantly accepts. Bates and the Corp laugh it up, wishing Vigilante good luck for their match. We've got Dean Ronan versus The Peak in a handicap match. The Peak wins. And this results in a work injury on Ronan's arm. We've got Jen Yuri versus Mason Gates. Jen Yuri wins that. Cut back from commercial, and Brandon Alexander, in the Jeans brother, is beating Jen Yuri, just beating him to oblivion backstage, sending a very firm message that he's not messing around. Super kick in the locker before walking off, that OMG animation. We got Order versus the lads from Sextown. Order wins that. Then in the main event, we got James Omega versus Harpo, which results in a no contest. It's a complete mess of a finish with Silver and Phoenix intervening. Silver and Omega go backstage. Harpo Harp KOs Phoenix to the announce table. Omega and Silver beat the shit out of each other and finish with Silver getting powerbombed to the desk. Have Omega look straight into the hard cam and say, "This is only the beginning," before decking the camera guy. Then we got the pre-show of Ultimatum, in which Order wins the tag titles. Quinn Diamond defeats Crystal Brooks. And we have an 8-man showcase battle royal, which basically shows new debuts and guys who haven't really had a lot of matches. And the winner gets a title shot to any title. Noah Close returns from the Rising Stars tournament because he hasn't been seen since then, and he wins pretty much dominantly. The only guy who really stands a chance is Jay Mamba. They both eliminate a lot of guys, and Jay almost eliminates Noah, but in the end, Noah was too powerful for him. Getting on to the main show now, Isaac Lockley retains against Teddy Lance. Ashley Rain defeats Don Wolf. Chris Phoenix loses to Harpo. Ryan Cage wins the Prestige Championship over Perfect Pete Price. Vigilante defeats the Corporation. And before the match, Bates starts off cocky, saying Vigilante doesn't have a chance in hell. Numbers disadvantage, and Ronan's injured. Ronan gets on the mic and announces the fourth member of Vigilante. And then Shogun's theme starts playing, and Shogun comes out. So he's the surprise fourth member to make it 4-4. The order of the eliminations goes Blake Wolf, Cody Harlow, Nathan Harlow, Leif Meyer, and then Marcus and Shogun get double counted out at the same time. And then Trevor gets pinned with Dane Ronan being the last man standing. Celeste Callahan wins the Women's Championship off Ruby Skyler. Jay Mamba retains the Killshot Championship against Jack Sanders. Drake King loses to D.H. Young. Brandon Alexander wins the Intergalactic Championship. And Ryan Silver wins the World Championship. However, this isn't the big feel-good moment you would be expecting, because Omega hits the Project Omega on Silver, but involuntarily knocks out the referee somehow. Goes for the pin. The referee is not up to count it. He gets up to check on the ref, and then as Silver's starring, he's crawling to his knees. He low blows Omega, then backs up into the corner, hits the atomic kick. 1, 2, 3. And this is the start of his heel turn, because basically he's done being Mr. Nice Guy. You know, that got him nowhere. That got him a bunch of losses. That didn't get him any championships. And now as soon as he turns a new leaf, he's won the championship. And also, you know, his aggressive mindset got him the win at Battlecry, where he destroyed Ryan Cage through both those chamber pods. And that's kind of his mindset, his mentality as to why he's now a heel. And that's Season 1 all wrapped up. I didn't really have a lot of stuff set in stone for Season 2, because, you know, I didn't really know what was going to happen. But I had some stuff kind of laid out there, like Silver was going to be this big heel world champion, and eventually him and Drake King were going to join forces as a heel tag team known as the Monarchy, or the Monarchs, one of the two. I think it was the Monarchs, because, you know, Drake King's last name is King, and Silver's British, so, like, yeah. And also, it would be kind of funny. Like, they would have kind of like a Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens type of connection type of thing. Brandon Alexander was going to hold the Intergalactic Championship for a little bit. D.H. Young was going to win a championship sometime down the line. You know, nothing was really set in stone, but that was pretty much the main premise of it. And now none of it will ever be seen. So yeah, this is actually a lot longer than I expected it would be. So I'm just going to cut this off before it goes any longer. Once again, terribly sorry for letting you all down. And yeah, best of luck to NGX, best of luck to NIWA, and thank you all for all the great memories, from the pilot episode to Anarchy to Dance with the Devil to Summer Blitz to Battlecry, and to what would have been of episode 16. Thank you.